I'm speaking with Etienne Matterre, who is features producer for Fox Sports. Etienne, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. I'm so glad you were able to make the time. So let's talk a little bit about what it is that you do for people who are completely unfamiliar about what your day-to-day looks like at Fox Sports, and tell us a little bit about how you got into your love of baseball.
Yeah, so I do features for Fox Sports. My official title is a feature producer, and basically what I do is for our pregame shows, any of our studio programming, we will do profiles, interviews, background pieces on players, coaches, anything of interest that we can find with whatever team we're covering that day, and we'll do our interviews and we'll do our background features and just telling stories about the teams that we're covering for that particular pregame show. So it's a lot of digging. It's a lot of researching, getting to know your talent, getting to know who you're covering. But that's the beauty of doing features. It's uncovering the stories. It's telling people's stories and where they come from. So my love of baseball just comes from growing up playing the game. I played since I was 4 years old. As early as I can remember, baseball was always kind of my first love. And so I played all through high school and college, and tried to play a little bit after college a little bit, but once I got to the pro level, it was a little above my speed. So covering the game ended up being where my spot was. So I knew I always wanted to be involved with the game, even if I wasn't playing. So getting a chance to do that now with Fox Sports has been a lot of fun, and getting up in close and personal with the players and telling their stories has been great. And just having that background knowledge, I think really does help me when it comes to doing the job. So it's never a dull moment, but it's been a lot of fun.
What has it been like producing content this season in the middle of, a stay-at-home order and all the different things that have gone on thus far this year?
Man, yeah, it completely turned our day to day on its head. Normally, how we interact, we send camera crews. As producers, we go into the field. We go up and close and personal with these guys, doing our interviews, doing our shoots with the teams, and all of that went away. And so we had to find all kinds of new ways to interact and get our content and communicate with the players and the teams, and just find new ways to tell our stories, because we didn't want, even though the games were stopping, we didn't want to stop what we were doing. And it took a lot of creativity, because we're so used to being up close and personal, and so not being able to be there was difficult at first. But I think everybody's kind of leaned into this new world of how we're communicating, and so we found ways of doing interviews over Zoom. Guys have their phones all the time, and so the one plus has been that guys are more accessible. That we can kind of do interviews at times that we normally don't do. And you can kind of get close to guys and get access to guys that you may not necessarily have going through PR departments and having to schedule interviews in person and things like that. But at the beginning, it was strange. I actually was on a big shoot about a week before everything kind of shut down, and it was a massive shoot. We had a big crew in the spring training complex, and the next week it was all gone. And so we were trying to figure out how do we go from here? And, we were just thankful that the games came back at all.
This year, the Los Angeles Dodgers won the World Series. What really cool content did you guys produce over there at Fox Sports?
We were able to, fortunately, produce a lot of the same content that we normally do for postseason. So at Fox, we carry the championship series. This year, we had the National League Championship Series with the Dodgers and the World Series. And so we were actually able to send the crew inside the bubble in Arlington, Texas. And so it was a tough quarantine process. Had to quarantine for 10 days, test every day, and had to go through all of these different protocols to be able to be in the same space as the players. But the team was great. The Dodgers were great in terms of still wanting to work with us and, get our content out there to get the best product for the viewers that we could. And so it was interesting, having to, you're wearing masks all the time and you're testing all the time, and you still got to keep your distance, but still being able to tell those stories and being there with those guys was great. And so you kind of see a little bit of a different side of these guys than you normally would in their kind of our normal environment. Kind of in that bubble life, guys tend to, relax a little bit more, but then they're also a little bit guarded. So you kind of have to, kind of toe that line a little bit, but we were able to kind of get some good content and interesting stories with these guys just about how they were dealing day to day, things they picked up during quarantine, interacting with their family. It was interesting that a lot of guys who are used to being gone had never been at home that much. And so they were like taking on more responsibilities at home than they used to. Some players are saying, I had to change more diapers. I had to cook more dinners, do things that I was usually on the road for. So they were called on to a different set of duties. But it was great to be able to interact with them throughout the postseason, and seeing them go to the end was a great finish for sure.
Are there any special passion projects that you're working on, or anything forthcoming that we have to look forward to that you guys are cooking up over there?
I've had a couple things where it's all of our features are really short form. And so we don't have a lot of long-term projects in terms of gathering interviews over multiple, sets of weeks and things like that to put together kind of a docu-style piece. So Ken Griffey Jr. is my favorite player of all time. And so he has been on my list of players to interview, to interact with. As a personal kind of hero of mine, we work with a lot of players, and you get used to working with them, right? You get used to interacting with them, and you don't really think about what they do. You just act in a professional way, and you interview them, and you do the story, and you build relationships with them. If I interviewed him, that it would be tough to keep it together, right? It would be tough to keep it professional because he's always been a hero of mine. So he's one that I haven't been able to track him down yet for a piece, but I'm pitching the ideas to see if we can kind of get him in the chair to do a piece at some time soon. So that's definitely one I have on the list.
Why would that be important to you? I'm just curious. Like, what's your story of why he's your hero?
So, growing up playing baseball, especially as an African American man, there weren't a lot of Black players that I could look up to, and so he was always that guy. And I played this center field because of him. I wore number 24 because of him, or my hat backwards because of him. I had the 6-finger glove because of him. Like literally my entire swag was because of him. And, just seeing him out there on the field and seeing, how he carried himself, and, being one of the few Black players in the league at the time, it was inspirational for me. And so just being able to kind of embody how he played and, wanting to be like him and play like him, it always just kind of went hand in hand with how I carried myself and how I played the game. And so seeing how the game developed and watching how his career developed, and then getting into television, just seeing how you interact and how these players interact, on a day-to-day basis, you really get to appreciate the guys that did it the right way. And so he was a guy that did it the right way, how he handled himself with the media, how he handled himself on the field. And so it really just even more solidified that was a guy that I always appreciated. So he's definitely one, like I said, if I ever get a chance to talk to him, it's going to be, I'm going to talk his ear off for sure.
It'll happen.
We're greasing the wheels a little bit. So hopefully, without stalking him too much, hopefully we can get it done.
Yeah, it'll happen for sure. And we would be remiss if we didn't talk about today, Kim Ng, I believe is her last name, just appointed the general manager for the Marlins after a still illustrious career, and opened a lot of glass ceilings, if you will, for women in sports and Major League Baseball as well. So I just want to get your opinion about, what do you think that means for the league?
Man, it's an amazing day for the game of baseball. Seeing a team like the Marlins and Derek Jeter, who's already made so many moves coming in there, as the owner of that team, to make a move like this is huge, and I think it's going to open a lot of doors, because there are, a lot of great women who are in the sport already. We've already seen, assistant coaches and other women who are getting their shot at the big league level, who have deserved it for a long time. And so really a props to Derek and his staff for recognizing that, hey, this is just a great person for our organization. It doesn't matter, background, man, women, whatever. She's going to put us in the best position to win. She's going to put us in the best position to send our organization, into the future with success. And they enjoyed a great year of success this year. And I'm really just so happy to see them make this move.
And then for people who want to connect with you online, where can they do so? And the second part of that, I want to ask for people who want to see your work, how can they plug in with you?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm updating the Vimeo page as we speak right now, kind of getting some pieces that we've done over this past college football season and baseball season. So we'll have the Vimeo page set soon. But yeah, at Materre on Twitter, at Materre on Instagram. That's kind of the way to get in contact with me.
Perfect. Well, that will conclude our formal interview together. Etienne, thank you so much. Did I say it correctly? I want to make sure.
Etienne. Oh, yeah.
Etienne.
Oh, yeah.
Etienne, thank you so much for joining me again today, and we'll check in soon.
No problem. I appreciate you having me.